His wife cheated on him twice a week at my hotel, so I sent her a thank you card from the hotel. Alright, so this is a story I've been dying to tell, and I figured you guys would appreciate it. So, a few months ago, I started working at this hotel as a cleaning lady. It's not the most glamorous job, but it pays the bills and I get to see some interesting things. I mean, people leave behind the weirdest stuff. But that's not what this story is about. Anyway, one day, I was cleaning a room on the second floor, and I saw this woman checking in at the front desk. She looked really familiar, but I couldn't quite place her. She was wearing sunglasses, even though we were inside, and that kind of threw me off. I mean, who wears sunglasses inside a building? Weird, right? Over the next couple of weeks, I kept seeing this woman at the hotel. She was always with the same guy, and they always booked a room for a few hours in the afternoon. And every time, she'd be wearing those sunglasses. It was driving me nuts because I was sure I knew her from somewhere, but I just couldn't put my finger on it. So I did what any curious person would do. I started snooping around. The next time I saw her, I quickly made my way to the front desk after they'd left and checked the computer for their reservation. The room was booked under a guy's name, Greg Miller. That didn't help me much, but at least I had a name to go on. I figured I'd just have to keep an eye on them and hope something would jog my memory. A few days later, I saw them again. This time, they were having trouble with their payment. Greg's card wouldn't work, so the woman had to use her card to pay for the room. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I saw her take off her sunglasses for a moment while she was digging through her purse. And that's when it hit me, she was Charlotte Jones, an old high school friend's wife. Now, I hadn't seen Charlotte in years, but I still kept in touch with her husband, Jason. We were part of the same group of friends back in the day, and we still caught up every now and then. I knew they had their ups and downs as a couple, but I never would have guessed that Charlotte would cheat on him. So I had a dilemma on my hands. Do I tell Jason what I saw, or do I just mind my own business? I didn't want to be the one to break his heart, but I also didn't want to see him get hurt. So I came up with a plan. A thank you card for being a repeated and loyal customer to the hotel. I figured it was a subtle enough hint that if Charlotte saw it, she'd realize someone knew about her little secret, and maybe it would make her stop. But if Jason saw it, well, at least he'd have a reason to start asking questions. I waited until the next time they checked in, and I made sure I got Charlotte's address from the computer. I wrote out the card, addressing it to Charlotte Jones and Greg Miller, and I mailed it to her house. A few days later, all hell broke loose. Jason stormed into the hotel, demanding to know if his wife had made a reservation there. The front desk staff, of course, wouldn't give him any information, and he was getting angrier by the minute. I heard the commotion and decided to step in. I pulled Jason aside and told him to come back in 20 minutes when the desk changed workers. I knew my coworker, who was about to start her shift, wouldn't be as strict about the confidentiality policy, especially if I explained the situation to her. When Jason came back, I managed to convince my coworker to confirm the details with him. She told him about the multiple reservations under Greg Miller's name and that Charlotte had used her card to pay for one of them. You could see the hurt and anger in Jason's eyes, but at least now he knew the truth. With that info, Jason went home and checked his wife's credit card statement online. Sure enough, there were charges from our hotel on the days I'd seen them together. He confronted Charlotte, but she denied everything, of course. But the evidence was all there, and Jason decided to file for divorce. I felt awful for him, but at least now he knew the truth and could start healing. But the story doesn't end there. Jason told me later that, while feeling vengeful and wanting to make sure Greg Miller paid for what he'd done, did some digging of his own. He found out that Greg was married to a woman named Anna. He tracked her down and told her everything he'd learned about their spouse's affair. Anna was devastated, of course, but she didn't waste any time filing for divorce either. I guess she figured that if her husband was going to cheat on her, she wasn't going to stick around and be made a fool of. Can't say I blame her. So, in the end, 2 marriages fell apart because of a thank you card I'd sent on a whim. I've thought about it a lot since then, wondering if I did the right thing. But you know what? I'm glad I helped my friend Jason by exposing the truth and helping him get out of a toxic relationship. As for Charlotte and Greg, I hope they learned their lesson and won't hurt anyone else like that again. And now, whenever I see someone wearing sunglasses indoors, I can't help but chuckle to myself and think about Charlotte and the wild ride that started with me just trying to figure out who she was. It just goes to show you that sometimes the craziest stories happen when you least expect them to. So next time you're at a hotel, keep an eye out for the cleaning lady. She might just have a story to tell. Wowzers, what do you think? Was Joanna being a great friend or putting her nose where it didn't belong? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.